Kingdom Team All Call Time. This is the question and answer period, and where we bring our best answers to your questions, trying to help you out. As always, you can leave your questions at kingdomreportlive.com by filling out the contact form there, or you can leave them in the comments section down below. Do what you need to do, and we'll get back to you just as soon as we can. This week's question comes to us from Kellen Glossler. Kellen asks, is Disneyland going to get rid of the annual pass, given everything that has happened this year? This is a question we continue to hear a lot on and about. Joining me for this segment to sort of give our takes on things, film and theme park journalist Sabina Graves, Walt Disney World reporter Garrett Hassel standing by in Magic Kingdom. We'll go to Sabina first. The Disneyland Annual Pass Holder program, as we know, is one of those programs that is huge. There's almost 1 million annual pass holders that are involved in this program, and so at any given time potentially 1 million people could show up at Disneyland if it's open, and come and enjoy themselves a little bit of theme park magic. However, I know that we're in a situation now where theme parks aren't open, and we're seeing the fact that Disney World is managing their annual pass holders to a certain degree with the theme park reservation system. Granted, the annual pass holder program out there and annual pass holders in general by numbers far smaller than what we have in California. So knowing that, I think Disneyland has always been of the mind, because the annual pass holders, they like to show up after work, right? They all come in after 5. In Southern California, there's millions of people. They all show up at once, and they want to enjoy themselves some evening magic. So if Disneyland does reopen, which it will eventually, but when Disneyland does reopen, do you imagine that there's going to be some dramatic drawbacks to the annual pass holder experience?
I do. I don't think it'll be as dramatic as it just being gone altogether, because, we still aren't seeing what the next year is going to look like as far as families coming down for vacations from out of state. And I think that the park might want to lean on the annual pass holders to keep everything going to an extent. Obviously, I think there's a definite possibility that we will be adopting the same sort of reservation system as Walt Disney World. It'll probably be opened up to paid guests and vacationers at first to go in, and then we'll see a different sort of system for pass holders to kind of see if they're able to make a reservation for the park on that day. But I don't think it's as dramatic as we're worried about. I know before there's always been a talk about, are there too many pass holders? Is this getting out of control? Right. This definitely will start to bring up some of those drawbacks of the program, but I don't think it'll go away completely.
Yeah, I think that Disneyland relies so heavily on that annual pass holder base to sustain them that I think you're right. I don't think it's going to vanish by any regard, but I definitely think that Disneyland has been looking for ways to manage it better in the last couple of years, in particular, because it is so much of their daily base of people that are visiting. I think they've been looking for a way to gently rescind, draw back perks and opportunities for people to visit. And they started experimenting year before last. It was the annual pass that I ended up purchasing up until annual passes are basically suspended at this point. But it was the one of the lower tier passes that allows for you to make reservations.
Yes.
Yeah, and producer Kurt also has this annual pass where you essentially look at a calendar in advance, and it tells you what days are available. And so they were already kind of doing it, to a certain degree. It tells you what days are available. You can go ahead and either make a reservation for a day that might be a little busier than normal, and it's a certain color. Otherwise, most days during the week, for example, unless it was, Christmas week, was completely available. You could just show up. You didn't have to make a reservation. But that annual pass that I had, it was like $35 a month or something like that. Tremendous value because I could go whenever I wanted. And I looked up the calendar system that they had in place for that as kind of a warning that you probably don't want to be there anyway.
Right.
Yeah, it was very helpful. But let's jump out to Garrett, who's standing by in Walt Disney World. Garrett, when it comes to this idea that Disneyland might rescind more of the annual pass holder program or do something to it potentially, what do you think as somebody who's an annual pass holder out east?
Hi there. Sorry, I guess asked me a question because I think he thought I worked here or something like
well,
that.
Well, you look like it.
Oh, what time? Yeah, he asked what time are the fireworks at? I'm like, there's only fireworks during the transitions, but As to the question, sorry, he completely distracted me. Apologies. But I think the way they're going to do it is similar to what they did out here. After the parks closed, if you had an annual pass, you could either, I want to pause my payments, or I want to cut it early and not pay anymore. You could always do that, or you get your money back. I think what they might do is something similar out west, where new annual passes cannot be purchased. Only old ones, if it's either expired or it's currently running, you can either choose to, you want to continue subscription? Do you go ahead and do that? Or do you want to end it? And so on and so forth, because they're not going to end it all the way, because that is, $700 million annually, roughly. I don't know how much the APs cost out there, but I imagine they can make hundreds of millions of dollars in a year just on annual pass holders without people even going into the parks. So they're not going to completely eliminate it. They're going to do something where either they're not going to allow any more, so that way they get more money from the single day or the multi-day ticket purchases. But they can't eliminate the entire thing. It's a staple of that now, and so many Californians and West Coasters rely on that annual pass to enjoy Disneyland and all the magic that it creates for the community.
Absolutely.
I'm a small child.
I saw that. Yeah,
No.
she can sense your aura. She wants to come be a part of the show, I think. But I'll tell you this: like when the annual pass program sort of was suspended earlier this year for the sake of the shutdown, I thought, all right, we're going to see on the other end of this some pretty seismic changes by the way that we've been conditioned to the program. I think when they come back, they're going to finally pull all the levers they've been waiting to pull, because now they kind of have an excuse, and they don't have to take all the heat for it. But at the same time, we also have to remember that going into the new year and things getting back to some semblance of normalcy with a vaccine and stuff like that, we are going to find ourselves, I think, in a place where there's still going to be a huge portion of the population that's not comfortable traveling yet and not comfortable going to theme parks yet. And so I think that's going to play very heavily into this idea that an annual pass holder, dramatic scale back is going to happen, because there are so many different tiers of annual passes in California, and for state specific, residents and stuff like that. But so many different annual pass levels that people can buy. I think that they're going to wait and see. I don't think it's going to be like when they announce that they're reopening the theme parks. I think you're right, Sabina. They are going to go with a reservation system, but I don't think they're going to make all of the rulings at the beginning of when they first reopen the theme parks. I think that they're going to wait and see what happens, and if they need that annual pass holder base in order to be sustained moving forward.
No, definitely. And you have a lot of those different possibilities depending on the vaccine and people's comfortability with even just going back to the parks. I think that's a really big factor as well, that it might be that a huge portion of pass holders might not feel comfortable yet, especially in such a big of a state as California, where our rollout for the vaccines will take a while and will probably go into the summer for most able-bodied and young people. And you're going to have a lot of guests coming in from other places. So there is a lot of chips here that are just going to be a big determining factor in what is going to happen. And I know we all like to think it's a normal, we want to go back to normal, but we are in an evolving world that is going to create something new and different. And I, could even see Disney specifically for pass holders, maybe even requiring, proof of vaccination. I mean, we don't know, we don't know how long the vaccine will work, so there are a lot of moving pieces here, and I'm as excited and vigilant in seeing how that goes and making sure everyone's safety is the priority for sure. And I was definitely one of the pass holders who kept paying for my pass because I was like, I don't know what's going to happen if they just, you can get your money back, but also you can keep paying. And I was like, I'm in the place right now where I can keep paying, and I'm doing this in the hopes that they'll just allow me to keep having my pass later on. So we'll see.
Well, and you make very good points. It's all incredibly fluid at the moment. There's so many variables going into the new year that can change everything that we know still. So that's our take. Those are our answers, our sort of collective thought around the subject. Obviously, annual passes in general across the board for Disneyland, at least. Still nothing in motion. Still nothing being talked about by the company. They're waiting to see. That's for certain. So, do you think the Disneyland Annual Pass holder program is going to go away entirely? Do you think it's going to be reduced? Let us know in the comment section down below, and make sure that if you appreciate the conversation, if you appreciate the discussion, you give us a big old thumbs up on this video, and let us know how you're feeling.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.